Hey, Justice Warrior. Bleh. Hold on. Let me start that again. Pause, stop, leave it. Hello, Justice Warriors. It's Heather and Tracy and Britt here. Actually, not in that order. It's Heather, Britt, Tracy. But man, you look fantastic, Brittany. I love your hair. Looks good. You did all the fluffing beforehand. So today we're going to be introducing a new case that Tracy and Brittany and I are going to be looking at. It is the murder of Roxanne Shapiro Dick. Roxanne had just gotten married. Her and her husband, Joseph Dick, who was the main suspect in this case, they had just gotten married and moved to the Nashville area from Cincinnati. I'm just going to read a little blurb of the Justia U.S. Law decision report on the case, just to kind of catch you all up to speed on who she was and what happened to her. The defendant, who, as we said before, was her husband, he worked for Tennessee Valley Exterminating Company. And in his job, he made house calls to addresses provided to him. And I don't know why I just skipped two whole paragraphs. Let's back that up. Roxanne Shapiro Dick was reported missing by her husband on the 21st of November, 1989. Her body was found on November 25th, 1989, so just 4 days. Her skull had been severely fractured. She had been stabbed 3 times, and her body was stuffed into the backseat of her car. The record.
However, I'd like to interject. It took 4 days from the 21st to find her, that he reported her missing. However, was she killed on the 20th?
Well, I'm just going at it from,
Okay.
point A to point Z, where they've laid it out for everybody.
All right, I'll be quiet and let you finish. We've already started.
Getting too far ahead of me, Miss Tracy. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, the record established that Dick and Shapiro had been married for about 2 months before, when they decided to leave Cincinnati to make their home in the Nashville area. They arrived in Nashville in March 1989. During the first few weeks of November 1989, the Dicks were having serious marital problems, and it led to their estrangement. Shapiro was considering divorce. Well, we can interject here. Does this sound a little like another case?
Yes, it does.
It sure does. It sure does. And that's really what struck me about
raised
it.
her hand.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just like, I know.
Oh, yeah.
I think we all know.
I do. So Georgia Sewell was a real estate agent. I don't know if I pronounced that last name correctly, but we'll just go with it. She was a real estate agent that was assisting the Dicks in the purchase of their house, in which they were already living during the fall of 1989, when the relationship between Sewell and the defendant, which was the husband, Joseph Dick, became close. They started talking with each other several times a day, and on November 17th, 1989, Dick told her that he thought that Shapiro was seeing somebody else. He was angry and upset, and he threatened to kill Shapiro, according to this report. And he mentioned at least 2 methods: stabbing her to death and setting his German Shepherd dog upon her. He also told Sewell in the same conversation that if anything happened to Shapiro, he would take the proceeds from her life insurance policy and pay for the house with cash. On Monday, 20th November 1989, so the day before she was reported missing, the defendant had told several friends and co-workers of an agreement that he had made with Shapiro to meet that evening at 7 p.m. to attempt reconciliation. He told each of these people a specific time and place that he was meeting her, and Shapiro was not home by 7 p.m. She still hadn't arrived at 7:10 p.m., so Dick left and went to the local bar. After he returned home and into that night, Dick called friends and acquaintances searching for Shapiro, but the efforts were unsuccessful. No one knew where Shapiro was, and nobody had heard from her. So her husband reported for work on November 21st and called Metro Police to report his wife missing. A patrol officer responded and advised him to make the report with Rutherford County, the county of his residence. Dick testified that after he spoke with the patrol officer, Johnson fired him. Johnson testified that Dick came into the office and quit after talking to the police. In any case, it says Dick removed personal items from his assigned truck and hitched a ride home with another salesman. Among these personal items was clothing worn during underhouse inspections. Upon arriving home, he left the clothes in a pile in his driveway and reported to the Laverne Police Department that his wife was missing. Laverne authorities determined that Shapiro's last work assignment would have taken her to Macon County, and they relayed the missing person report to the Macon County authorities. Lieutenant Jerry Dallas of the Lafayette Police Department received the report on November 22nd, 1989, and he started investigating the case, but progress was slow. He did, however, locate a witness who had seen Shapiro between 11:30 a.m. and noon on November 20th, 1989. Also on November 22nd, 1989, Dick or his mother telephoned David Wood, the agent from whom he had recently purchased a policy insuring Shapiro's life for a little over $50,000. Wood was not in the office, so Dick left a message. Wood returned Dick's call on November 27th, 1989. He reached Dick's mother and she inquired about the procedure to collect the policy. On November 25th, 1989, Keith Dunshee, a mail carrier, discovered Shapiro's car in an obscure weeded area off Campit Hollow Road in Macon County. Dunshee took a closer look and saw the body of a female inside. He went immediately to the nearest house and informed Sheriff Mercer of Macon County by telephone of his discovery. Mercer went to the Campit Hollow location with his Chief Deputy Joe Ferguson. On arrival, they confirmed Dunshee's information, preserved the crime scene, and called Dallas. Dallas arrived within a short time. When he opened the car door, he smelled a strong gasoline odor. The windows of the car were smoked. The headliner of the car was charred. The victim's hair was burnt, and her hose melted. I thought it said nose at first. Yeah, funny, not funny, but still. Her body had literally been stuffed in the rear seat with her legs doubled under. The defendant was notified on the 25th of November, 1989, that his wife's body had been found. On this occasion, before Dallas had informed Dick of any details, Dick asked if she was shot, stabbed, and just stuffed in the backseat of her car. Additionally, when the autopsy order was given to Dick, he tore it into pieces and threw it into a trash container. Moreover, Dallas testified that Dick feigned grief, that is, that he would cover his eyes, make crying noises, and peek out from under his hands to see if Dallas was looking at him. When questioned about his whereabouts on November 20th, 1989, Dick stated that he had worked in Shelbyville that day. His first appointment was at 10 a.m. He said he ate lunch at the Carter Family Restaurant from noon to 12:30 p.m. and called Johnson from a payphone inside the restaurant between 12:30 and 1 p.m. There is no such restaurant in Shelbyville. Subsequently, when Dallas interviewed him on December 4th, 1989, Dick said he ate lunch and called from Richard's Family Restaurant. At trial, the defendant testified that he ate lunch and called Johnson from the pantry on Highway 41 on November 20th. A call had in fact been received at Tennessee Valley Exterminating Company at 12:50 p.m. from the pantry on Highway 41 on November 20th, 1989. A call was placed to the pantry payphone from Johnson's office at 12:55 p.m. However, there were several other salespeople in that area, and no one at Johnson's office could unequivocally confirm that the call in question had been made by Dick. Again, I'm reading this word for word. So On November 26, 1989, Dallas and Ferguson returned to the scene to make a daylight search for additional evidence. Ferguson found a small paring knife. I was like, what's a parking knife? Anyway, this knife was identified at trial by Sarah Condor, Shapiro's best friend, as having come from Shapiro's kitchen. On the 26th of November, 1989, Dallas, hold on. Okay, I had to go back and reread that to make sure that it, I understood what it said. On November 26, 1989, Dallas also received a call from Dick's mother asking if it was all right to dispose of the victim's belongings. After the call, Dallas and another officer, James Jenkins, went to the house and obtained Dick's consent to search the premises. During this consent search, Jenkins and Dallas examined a pile of clothing left in the driveway. Both officers testified they detected the smell of gasoline on the clothes. Among the clothes, Dallas said he saw a blue plaid flannel shirt and a camouflage hat, which I'm assuming is relevant. Anyway, on the morning of November 27, 1989, Dallas received a call from Deborah Compton, a resident of Clampett Hollow. Compton told Dallas that on Monday, 20th November 1989, she had seen a light-colored truck and a car pull off of the road where the body was found. She said she saw two men standing by the truck. One of them was wearing a blue plaid flannel shirt and a camouflage hat. There's the relevance. Upon receiving this information from Compton, Dallas remembered having seen similar items in the clothing pile in Dick's driveway. He obtained a search warrant and seized the clothing. A camouflage cap was not among the seized items, but a blue plaid flannel shirt was. Okay. Carolyn Overton had been working at the CNC Market on the 20th of November, 1989, and saw Shapiro there around 11:30. She remembered Shapiro because she was well-dressed and had mentioned that she was selling combined insurance. Overton also accurately described the car that Shapiro was driving. Overton testified that she saw another vehicle outside, a white pickup truck. At the time Shapiro was in the store, Overton testified that it had Tennessee Valley Exterminating Company on the door. She said she wrote down the name, Tennessee Valley Exterminating Company, on a piece of paper. Apparently Overton's husband had invented a device which he was trying to sell to exterminating companies. Since Overton had not seen this particular company in the area before, she thought her husband might want to contract them. Okay. Finally, Dr. Charles Harlan, the coroner, testified that Shapiro had died at least 72 hours prior to the autopsy, which was conducted at 1:30 p.m. on November 26th. He opined that Shapiro died of blunt force trauma to the head and multiple stab wounds to the chest and abdomen. One of the stab wounds penetrated 5 inches into her body. Dick testified and presented an alibi defense. The linchpin of this defense was the telephone call made from outside the pantry in Shelbyville at 12:50 p.m. on November 20th, 1989, to the office, and the return call made to that same telephone. Dick swore that he initiated the call from the pantry, and he swore he received the return call. Dick's theory was that in view of the fact Shapiro was last seen alive as late as 11:45 a.m. or noon on November 20th, 1999, he could not have possibly traveled the 91.2 miles between Clampett Hollow and Shelbyville in time to use that particular telephone to make and receive the calls described above. Okay, so that's kind of the backstory of it. And then where it's at today, which this is a pretty old case, so I'm not surprised. And, back then, the computer systems and the media were not really, all that popular and using, for forms of media reports. So there wasn't a lot to find on this case online. But what happened after that is that Joseph Dick's conviction was overturned. And apparently they decided that it was overturned because exculpatory evidence was withheld. The prosecution withheld exculpatory evidence. And apparently they never went back after him at that point. Like, you know, it was overturned, he was released. There has not been any further efforts to prosecute him. And, you know, because of the show, you know, we're getting quite a bit of recognition right now. And he saw the show. And when I say he, I am speaking of Joseph Dick, the defendant in this case. He saw the show and he called me. And he wants to hire us to try to solve this case. He says he didn't do it. And he wants to know who did. Tracy, go ahead. You might want to unmute yourself first. Can't hear you. Girlfriend?
Hover over your picture, Mother.
Speak, woman, speak. But you have to unmute for, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hover over your picture and it'll give you a mute or an ellipsis.
Okay, she's not muted now.
Okay.
There
It
you
kept
are.
saying-
And go. Hello?
Am I there?
There, right now. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, it kept saying the host muted you.
Oh, well, I was hitting ask to unmute while you were,
Oh,
we were
I
probably
gotcha.
canceling out
Okay,
each
okay,
other.
okay. So what is one of the many
I just want
things?
everybody to see right here. This is our relationship. And we are quirky. We are a quirky team. So I hope you all enjoy that, because you know it's not gonna be, if we start doing this stuff live, it is not gonna be smooth. I promise you.
Is
It's
anything
just
ever
difficult.
like
No.
Okay, so I want to discuss the shirt,
Yeah.
the blue flannel,
Mm-hmm.
and very much of what I thought could be a possibility was a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
They were seeing a man in a blue shirt. There was actually two men seen out there, not just one,
Mm-hmm.
in a blue shirt, flannel blue shirt or blue shirt. Okay. In 1988, which the murder happened in 1989, in 1988, a high school was established in Laverne, Tennessee, called the Wolverines, and their color is blue.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, blue would be a very popular color in that area.
Okay.
right? And also, what time of year? Well, with the time of year and it being
It was
cold.
November. It was November.
But you
Right.
know
So
what?
you got the color blue very popular in that area, and you have the weather. And then when they said the gasoline smelling shirt. Now, I'm not saying whether this man did it or not. I'm just showing you what I find problems with. If he had that shirt in, and I'm sorry to say this because I know there are so many people out there that do this for a living. However, the smell of termite spray or that stuff smells like a gassy smell. So I wondered if that t-shirt was ever tested for gasoline fumes, or I would have to have that positivity going on. And the fact that that there was another thing, a woman had seen that vehicle. There was, number one, you can't have it both ways. They were saying that, I hope you can't hear the background in here, but they were saying that there was a woman that saw the side of a
Right, the
vehicle.
truck that said, and that's what I was gonna say, is that, you know, while a blue flannel shirt may have been pretty popular in that area, and really is kind of popular in every area. I mean, that's
Right.
a pretty common shirt for men to wear. But what's not common or popular are white trucks with Tennessee Valley extermination on the side.
However, one said white and he drove a light colored vehicle.
True.
And according to them about the telephone call, they said, oh, there were a lot of other people in the area. Well, you can't have it both ways. Either there's a lot of other people in the area, or there's just this guy that would be suspicious because of the writing on the truck. If they're, you know what I'm saying? You've got, oh, well, there's a lot of people in the area when it comes to the phone call, but then there's, oh, he's it, you know, when it comes to the person standing by the road.
Yeah, and the way
There's a lot of people in the area.
The way it was explained, though, was that, you know, she wrote down Tennessee Valley exterminating, you know, not because he was suspicious, but because, you know, she's writing it down for her husband. But
which didn't make sense to me because, number one, if he is doing this, he would have, if it was me, I'm just saying, if it was me, I would have already searched and Googled every exterminator company where I was going to do my product, to source my product.
But this is
So to me,
1989. But this is 1989.
Right. I would, well, Google, there's still, oh yeah, that was,
Encyclopedia.
God, that was, you were
the
6 weeks
yellow
old at the
pages.
time.
Yeah, I was
Pages.
4 or 6 weeks old. Yeah.
Or I would have gone down the line, at least a list. So yeah, it's possible. However, the fact that I'm not saying whether he did do it or not. There's just too many questions. There
are a lot of questions. Okay, so what I am going to do right now is I'm going to call Macon County and see if I can get them to send over the court documents on this case. So
yeah, because I do have a question too, because so it relates to the parent.
Hold on one second.
He's going to make a call.
Hi, my name is Heather Cohen. I'm sorry, rolling. I got married. Oops. Sorry, baby. I'm trying to get used to using my new name. But I am a private investigator, and I've been asked to look at a really old case of your guys's over there in Macon County. It was the state versus Joseph Dick. Was in 1989.
That's been a while ago.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I was wondering, yeah, I was wondering if I could get the file.
Good question. Because criminal isn't checked out often. You may could look at it here.
Okay.
But let me check into that and see. I know we can give you copies of things.
Yes, ma'am.
But I don't think you can check it out and used to know where this file was, but I don't know anymore. You said it was 1989?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, hang on just a second.
Okay. That's promising so far.
Yeah, she sounds very friendly.
Yeah.
That's always nice.
Yeah. Never know.
I hate when you get that. Whatever.
Yeah, they're just like kind of pissed off that you interrupted whatever they were doing.
Yikes.
Yeah. So, you know, it's really hard.
And you're like,
It's really hard at this time to really reach a conclusion on whether I think he did it or not.
Exactly.
Especially sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I just found, just Googling the company, got my encyclopedia out. Well,
Yeah.
there's actually another case. It seems to be a bit similar, and the dates, I have to go over it as well, but another, looks like a salesperson at Tennessee Valley Exterminating. There was a murder case with his wife as well.
What?
And it's not the same two people.
Wow.
State versus Robinson.
And can you, what's the date on that one?
Let's see. Appeals for first degree murder. Something about evidence, but there was 2 men. The victim and the defendant married on September 1st, 1989.
89.
Wow.
That's when they got married.
Yeah, okay.
Some collection.
Okay, this is turning strange.
Well, yeah.
And they were
But
married.
I think it would happen in the 90s.
Still very close.
Right. Who's to say there's one
And 2 men. The 2 man thing is.
All right, I'm going to Google this now. You say the State versus Robinson, and what county?
It's it was Nashville. Okay, Court of Criminal Appeals, Tennessee at Nashville.
Hold on.
Terry Lee Robinson.
Okay, sorry, I
Ask
had
about
you on
that.
mute. Can you tell me what you just said again?
Yeah. Hang on just a second. I was trying to still track him down. He's run off on me.
Oh,
He's
okay.
running somewhere, but I don't know which direction. Just a second.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, sorry. She just.
Ask her about Robinson too.
Well, let me.
So ask her about Robinson too.
I will
Yeah.
if we figure out that it's in the same county. But can we figure out what county it's in first?
Well, what are we talking county? The actual murder or the?
Well, the county that would have had jurisdiction, the county where it was tried.
Yeah, but. Oh yeah.
Trying to find all.
I got you.
Tell me how to find this case so I can look at it too.
It's number. I can give you the case number.
Send her a link. Just send her the link.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
smart.
send me the link. That would
Copy
be-
and paste into the link. That's what I do all day long. Ding, 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 ding. Heather's like, Tracy, my head.
Okay.
Yeah, there was something about because there was some television show that came out around the same time about being poisoned with cyanide, but I don't think the woman was. But they had marital problems.
Okay, if you go down to the end of this decision, this is the Court of Appeals decision. If you go all the way down, they'll start. Yes, ma'am, that would be perfectly fine. Thank you. Do you have my number? Okay, it's 615-486-9568.
9568.
Yes,
Okay. And your name was
Heather
Heather?
Rolling, Rolling.
ING?
Mm-hmm.
Because you just got married.
Yes. Yes.
And you're private investigator on this case and want to see about checking it out. Like I said,
No,
I know
yeah.
we can make you copies,
Yeah,
but
that's what I meant. I didn't mean like checking out your original file, but yeah, I just want to check it out. Yeah.
I know we can do that.
Oh, well, yeah.
Just locating it. So I tell you what, I'll get him on the hunt of locating.
Uh-huh.
It should be a big file if I remember right.
Yeah,
And
I'm
we
sure it
stuck
is.
Probably in some bottom drawer where we know exactly where it's at.
Makes sense. Yep.
So I'll let me check with him and see if he remembers what direction we showed it. And if not, we will locate it and I will give you a call back. Or do you just need like the indictment, judgments, and
No.
stuff like that, or do you
No.
want something else?
I want to look at the entire file and decide what I want copies of, really.
Okay, so you would want to look at it before we make your copies then?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So you would be willing to come to Lafayette then and look at it?
Sure.
And then,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, I know we could do that. I know I could just set you up in the office somewhere, side room or something, and let you look at it. Or I
Okay.
think we can.
Okay,
And
yeah.
then make you some copies from that because it's public record. Other than we may redact Social Security numbers and stuff.
Sure.
But other than that, I think we would be fine. So let me
Just hunt it down.
if we can locate the file, and I will give you a call back, and then let you know that it's ready whenever you want to come by and
Okay.
look at it.
Okay, yeah, just take my number and let me know.
Okay, I sure will.
Thank you.
Heather.
Hey, what was your name? I'm sorry.
You're fine, Dan.
What's your name? Oh. Anybody catch that?
Beth,
Beth. Okay.
maybe?
I don't know. that kind of ended strangely. A little bit strangely. Oh, kitty. Okay. Yeah, so that sounds like a definite possibility to me that we may have been looking at. Maybe it was somebody from Tennessee Valley.
Who was already having problems, and he didn't get caught until later, maybe. But 2 guys, trucks. My other thing is, they said that she had a wound, that Roxanne had a knife wound from the paring knife, or not from a knife wound, right? 5 inches deep. From everything I've read, paring knives are typically 3 to 4 inches. So wasn't a paring knife to me.
I was thinking that too. I was sitting there when she said paring knife. I'm going, 1,
That's what
2,
you,
3, 4.
yeah, I'm like, so that kind of, and the fact that, okay, was he, maybe it was hey, if you help me get my wife and I'll help you get yours, because the other case, it was opening up some type of financial business together, I believe. Don't quote me 100%, but that's kind of what I read.
Yeah.
Through. There's a lot to read through.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's just so many scenarios that could be going on here.
Yeah.
I also want to know, was she stabbed in the back or the chest?
I believe it was the chest from what I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
chest.
3 were in the chest. No, one was in the abdomen. 1 abdomen, 2 chest.
I don't remember specifically those.
It's in the
details,
article
but
from the paper.
yeah.
And so we know the car was charcoaled a bit, but obviously the fire didn't last, because I'm wondering if he set the fire. I don't know if it matters inside, outside, but if the fire doesn't have oxygen, it can't grow.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, if you
Okay.
hold on for 1 second, I'm going to try to call Joseph Dick and see if he can talk to us on the podcast.
Okay. She was stabbed 3 times and struck on the head.
Hey guys, hold on a second, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to also get my notes from our conversation the other day. My notes for him.
Hello.
Hey Joseph, this is Heather. How are you?
You young lady.
Well, I'm doing all right. We are doing this podcast on your belated wife right now. And I wanted to give you a call and let you kind of talk about what we talked about the other day. get that kind of on record. But before we do, I want to go ahead and let you know ahead of time, we don't want to say any names of, you know, the individuals that you mentioned last time we talked. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. But I have my assistants, well, my assistant and my partner here.
Yeah.
I guess I should say, the team is here with me. How about that? And we, so we're all here taking notes, and if you don't mind, just pretend like we didn't even talk and tell me what you want to tell me. Again, just don't say names, okay?
I got
Okay. Can you guys hear him okay? Okay.
you. Do what now?
Oh, I was talking to them, making sure they could hear you okay.
Have him run a test.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you want to just start at the beginning and kind of tell me, you know, I mean, we know we read the court appeal decision, and we've read, you know, the one article we were able to find on it. So we have that information. We know how old she was. We know what, you know, what she was doing. She was working for the combined insurance company. But just, you know, you had explained some things to me, you know, some explanations of, you know, what the real estate agent testified to, and, you know, you talked about, you know, who you suspected and stuff like that. If you could just kind of go over that stuff again and, you know, skip over like the basic details.
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay.
We moved down, and we started from scratch there, starting everything all over, and she had a friend that lived down there, and that was the reason we went, because I could go anywhere for work or whatever, and she could go anywhere for work because she was a salesman. Well, we went, and she really just worked at a few places. I forged concrete because that was my profession, but it didn't pay that well there because of being a right-to-work state. So I went to work for a sales company selling termite pest control. And we was in the process. We had an apartment, and we found a house to sweat equity, and was doing the work on the house. Well, when we started doing the work on the house, she started to work and went to training for a company called Combined Insurance. And she had supposedly a 10-day or 2-week class where she had to stay at the hotel, and that they wanted them to stay away from all outside distractions, you know, supposedly is what I was told, you know, like the husband and the family, because they wanted them to concentrate strictly on, you know, what they were teaching them, with no distractions. And I was working for the company. We've been having, not issues, but we've been having problems because I was working so much, and she was, you know, doing that. Money was tight, but we were getting everything on the house on a split equity. And I met up with, you know, a few people or whatever when we first got there, and we did a lot of partying. And I was working for the company, like I said, and she was, well, we were having problems, and we were thinking about splitting up, but with the house and with everything, we were going to go ahead and, you know, meet up to talk about, you know, maybe reconciling, because we were still living together in the house. But we were supposed to meet. I went to work that morning, and I had to go into my company I work for, get my route, and talked with the boss and everything, got my lead, and left, whatever. And she had finished her class, and she was doing sales herself for supplemental insurance. And I really never knew exactly where she would be, and she didn't know where I would be, because they would tell me I would have to go to Shelbyville and Lynchburg or whatever in that area. But he didn't know till we got to work. And hers was basically, they told her in advance where she would be going, because instead of going to their shop, she went directly out. But we talked about meeting that night. We always went Monday night, watch Monday Night Football at Hooters, and I always worked fairly, but so did she. And Monday night, I didn't hear from her, which didn't have cell phones and whatever. Some people did, the rich and famous, but we just had a whole going where we would need anything happen with that pager to contact or call where we were supposed to be at or whatever to be. And she had never not showed up, and neither had I. No matter hell or high water, we at least talk. Well, she didn't show up, and I was pissed off, and I was hurt, and then I thought something may have happened. Well, I went back to my house, and she never called the house. She never called anywhere. Well, she didn't come home. And I got up, the next morning, and, I was hurt. I was pissed off. I couldn't think why she would have stayed out all night for, because it had never happened. I mean, come home at 2 o'clock when the bars were getting closed, ready to close or whatever, but really never, that late or whatever, but all night while I went into work, and I was upset, and I talked to my boss, and I told him, my old lady didn't fucking show up. She didn't come home. I don't know where, I don't know what's going on. And he told me, well, just go ahead and go on home, but leave your truck. Well, I left my truck and had that guy give me a ride home. So basically, as I was terminated, but I called Davidson County to file a missing person or whatever report. Well, they showed up, and they told me, that my boss at where I worked at, he was kind of an asshole about shit, whatever, but the officer told me I had to go where I resided, which I lived in Laverne. The house was in Laverne. We were living in it and getting ready to close on the house. And I had to go to Laverne, and I can't remember the county, but it wasn't Davidson County.
It was Rutherford.
Rutherford, that is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And filed missing persons or whatever, and they took report or whatever, that I didn't have a vehicle. And I was there Tuesday, Wednesday, communicated with everybody, tried to find her, tried everything, and I went from being pissed off to worried. I was miserable. I called her parents. Her dad came down. He come down, I think it was Friday, and me and him, we found out from, I got a hold of her boss, and she told me the route she was supposed to be running. Well, I tried to contact, people, for the list of people's names she worked with. They gave me, she was in class with, they gave me some people's names or whatever. I talked to her supervisor a couple of times, and then she would never answer or return my call. Well, I think it was Thursday or Friday, her father came down, and we knew the rough area where she was supposed to be running, and me and him went up and drove all over and went to gas stations, contacted the police department, everything, whatever, and we couldn't find nothing. And I thought, that she had just said, fuck me, fuck, Tennessee, and come back to Cincinnati to her parents' house. And, and her parents said no, and I knew her parents wouldn't lie to me. Well, it just, when her dad came down or whatever, the police department, everybody said, maybe whatever, but nobody took it serious as far as I was concerned, and then me and her dad could find nothing. And then it was a Saturday morning. We drove all over up in Lafayette, Lafayette, whatever they want to call it or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we, every place that we could think of, checked and whatever. We couldn't find anything, whatever. And whatever. I can't really remember, but they questioned me for hours on end, and then they just came out and said, well, we found your wife. And I said, is she okay? Has she been raped? Is she in the hospital? And they said, you know, she's murdered. And I said, how was murdered? And I flipped out. For the police department up, whatever, bullshit. And they said that she was beaten, stabbed, and set on fire. And I really lost it because it just blew my mind. Well, after that, I said I need to call my mother because me and my mother's close. I called my mom and told her, you know, that they had found her and she had been killed. And my mother said she would be in Tennessee in a flash. So her and my stepfather, they took off immediately and come down. And I can't remember if the sheriff drove me back to my house or her dad drove. I can't remember. Well, when time went by, then they said that they came to my house, and my mother was there. I think it was a day or 2 days later. They came to my house and asked if, you know, I would give permission to search my house. Well, I have nothing to hide. Well, they came in and looked, and they got some stuff from my house. They said I had some clothing that was in my driveway because that was what was in my work truck, and I got all this. When I come home, I was so pissed off, I just threw it out of the guy that came in right in the truck, and I left it sit there. And and they came, and they got the clothing. They said there was a strong odor of gasoline on the clothing, and there was blood on the clothing. Whatever. They took it as evidence. Or, I didn't know nothing about cops. What they do is evidence, whatever. Well, they took all of it and whatever. Well, then time went. That was about 2 days, 3 days. I stayed there and got everything out because I was going back. My wife had been killed, whatever. I had to be there. I went back to West Virginia, and we told police, told everybody where I was at if they needed to get a hold of me. And I come back to Huntington, West Virginia to stay with my mother, to stay away from everybody because I was devastated. Well, Dad would ask more questions and more questions, and the people that had taught my mother worked with at the courthouse in Huntington, they told her, they said they're looking at going after Jody, why? Because I was her husband. Other than that, I had nothing to do with it. I had nothing to hide, nothing, whatever. Well, they said I ought to get an attorney. Well, you know, what kind, where? And they said, get an attorney from Nashville. Well, they checked into it, and hired an attorney. And then, you know, I had to give him so much money. And then as time went, I can't even remember. She had been supposedly, it was in November, and I think it was January. I can't even remember the years, whatever, but we married in 89, November of 89, she was killed December, so January 90, they told that they put a warrant out for my arrest. A fugitive from justice, flight to avoid prosecution, so on and so forth. And they said all the stuff that they did and statements I had made to individuals that, you know, it pointed at me, and it was supposedly an overkill. And only the person that knew how the crime was committed would, you know, nobody knew that she was beaten, stabbed, and set on fire. And they said that's exactly what they were questioning me that Saturday. And they went ahead and they issued a warrant. Well, I don't think the grand jury indicted me. I know that I'm pretty sure that's what it was, or what evidence. Well, they falsified their affidavits when they went to a judge in Rutherford County, I think it was, to get a warrant for my arrest. And that's how the warrant came for my arrest. Well, my attorney notified my mother. My mother came, got me where I was working. I was working for the state. I went and turned myself in. They released me the following morning on my own recognizance to go from Huntington to Macon County to turn myself in, post bond. Then I was out on bond till my trial came. They never posted. I got pulled over about 2 months later in Kentucky. I was working. They did not post that I was on bond for first-degree murder. It didn't show up. They went to court because they said that I was speeding or whatever, and I didn't have my license with me or whatever. And then they said, Mr. Dick, they gave me a continuance, and then they told me, you didn't, you know there's a warrant for your arrest for first-degree murder. And I said, yes, I know. I've made bond. My papers are in my car. Well, they arrested me and held me. Then we had to get them. I got a hold of my mother, and she got a hold of my attorney, who got a hold of the prosecutor, and they got it straightened out to where the show told them I did make bond. Well, anyway, then when everything went by, that was my attorney, told him, he had asked me. We was in the office, me and my mother, and he told my mother to leave. I said, Mom, I ain't going to go nowhere. I won't say nothing to you. I won't tell my mom. He said, well, that's fine, but, the reason being, I said, I'm not worried about it. You ain't innocent. You ain't guilty. You don't worry about nothing. Well, he asked me, and I said, no. And, then it went, what he said they had and whatever. Well, when I went up, they asked me that Saturday with her father, they said, where were you Monday? And I said, fuck, I don't know. I'm different places every day. But I said, I don't know. But if I get my leave, I'll tell you where I was at, who the people talked to in the contracts that I sold. And I did sell a contract. Well, they said, changed from this story to this story. And I said, fuck, I can't remember what I did a week ago. But these circumstances, well, but then they got with the company I work for, got my lead and whatever. And I said, yeah, I sold a contract to the lady. She worked at the cafeteria, so on and so forth. Well, yeah, she did. They talked to her, but then we always had a thing every day at lunchtime. You called in to come to the office, and then the boss. That's when payphone you could get calls coming back in. Well, I told him I was at this store. I remember, and I called, and he called back. Well, then they said, how did they know it was me? Because there were 4, 5, or 6 salesmen in the area. But it was, how did they know for a fact that it was me? And my boss said, I can't remember, but that was our protocol. They called, and I called them back and asked them how they were doing. But I finally figured out where I was at that day or whatever. I couldn't remember after Monday, what I did Monday night after I left Hooters, and she hadn't showed up, and I said, Tuesday is when I said I got terminated, and I couldn't remember. Well, that's what they said, that I did. There was so many discrepancies and whatever, and I told them, I said, I've tried to be as straightforward as possible, but I can't remember exactly. Well, then they went, her parents, they wanted her cremated. And, it was damn things set on fire. That I don't want her involved, put her in the ground. to where I could go pay respect to her. And her family, all belongings she had on her. Her mother took it and sent everything to my mother and said, because her jewelry and everything I bought her when we were on our honeymoon, I didn't ask for it. I didn't want it. I just wanted her. Well, her mother sent it all to my mother. And then they said, you know, I was greedy. All I wanted was money. And they turned around and just tried to flip-flop everything. Her dad come down. Her mother made statements, you know. It was her horrid ways that, you know, got her killed. You know, she was wrong place at the wrong time, whatever.
Okay,
Well,
so did her parents turn on you? Is that what you're saying? Did they?
Yes.
They did turn on you. Okay.
You know, when me and her first met, I stayed with them. I even had a white German Shepherd, which that comes in the trial. I had a white German Shepherd. He was like a human being. I mean, he listened to every word. He was very protective.
Mm-hmm.
She let the dog stay at her house. Made her stay, asked if she could stay in the garage, and I said yes. And first time she went outside, my dog went with her, and she loved her so much, she let her come in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were all with me, and then the prosecution, you know, brainwashed her or did as they always do, and they turned against me. Her dad never spoke up, but her mother did. Her mother testified against me, you know, said, hello?
Yeah, oh, I'm here. So I want to ask you, I want to get a little bit more into, the other day we talked about that you knew that she had a couple relationships, affairs or whatnot. And
it was
how did you find out, how and when did you find out that she was seeing somebody else?
It was about a month after I was at my mother's, and I kept in touch with Sarah. I kept in touch with one of her best friends, the reason we went down there. And she just told me, she said, Jody, I talked to the TBI and I had to tell them everything. I said, what? And I said, fuck, you know, yeah, we was doing dope. You know, we partied, we worked our ass off, whatever. She said, no, I had to tell her about who. I had to tell her who she was fucking. And I about died. I said, what? And she said, yeah, she had two different guys I know of. The dope man and another guy she was fucking. And I said, no. She said, yeah, you know, when we went out one night a week, ladies' night out, I said, yeah. She said, that was her cover. You know, we went out and you went with the dope man and was fucking him for dope and running around. And there was times when you went to get dope and came out and met you in the parking lot. She was up in his apartment. And then there was another dude and I said, well, who's the other? She said, the dude that she was in class with. They didn't want them to stay away from her family. She said that because she knew you would back her no matter what. She was doing that so she could have fun and have another affair and do what she wanted to do while you were working your ass off. And I said, I couldn't believe it. And then shortly after that is when her friend turned on me, you know, said I was a piece of shit and then everything, whatever. Well, it was that when I found out. And then when I went back down to make bonds, real estate, and I kept in touch with her. Me, my mother, and my stepfather met up with her at like a Waffle House, sit down and eat breakfast, and told me, you know, she said, what would you have done if you found out your wife was having an affair? And I said, I'd kill the fucking bitch, you know. I wouldn't kill him, you know, fuck, you know. She's the one that had to say, yeah, you know, a girl can get laid anytime a guy's got to work. I said, you know, and she did. Well, then it got into where bank came into the
Yeah.
country. She
Yeah, we
said,
read about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she said, I told her, fuck, if I ever thought I would sick my dog on her, fucking have my dog, killed and make it look like an accident, the dog turned.
Yeah.
My dog would bit me before my dog would bit her because he loved her.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to take my dog to work with her.
So you didn't know that she was having affairs on you until after, right?
Hell no.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a month after the fact, after she had been killed.
Okay.
And I kept in contact with her parents, her friend, other people, my realtor, her lady that she worked for, her manager or supervisor.
Okay.
I kept in touch with all of them. Well,
Okay.
it's like everybody what the right hand was doing except me.
Right.
And
Okay.
I was devastated.
One more question, and then I'm going to let you go. I'm going to be in touch with you again here pretty soon, though, because I want to make sure I have all the right names and so that I can get a hold of some of these witnesses. And I've already called to get the court file, so I'm working on that now. And I just, when I'm doing something like this for somebody, I want to make sure that they're completely honest with me every step. I hate to be surprised. I hate being surprised. I don't want to find out down the road that this person's got all sorts of, like aggravated assault charges or attempted murder or, some sort of violence. Do you have any sort of criminal history like that?
Before that,
Mm-hmm.
hell no. I didn't
Okay.
have a ticket.
Okay.
Now, I've got that because I had a trailer I rented, somebody stole. I had to leave out because it was in my possession. I got a possession of that.
Okay.
I got a
So it's no secret that you have, whether you still do or not, but at some point you have had an addiction, a problem with drugs, and meth is one of those drugs that, as we all know, can sometimes cause people to be violent, to be aggressive.
Yeah. Well, I didn't start doing that till I was 57. I'll be 61 a week from today.
Okay.
So I didn't start that till I was 57 years old.
Okay.
Like 57 shit.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, so but prior to, there wasn't anybody saying, oh, they had a problem with domestic violence, he beat her up, nothing like that. Okay, because that's always one of those things that, once people know that, they're like, oh, well, hell, he did it, period. There's no,
Yeah. Well, see, it just my whole thing, it was 87 people, and the prosecutor said it. Everybody's saying Mr. Dick did this, and he's saying he didn't. You gonna believe 80 people or Mr. Dick? Well, 80 people got proved to be liars, and Mr. Dick was telling the truth.
okay.
The lead investigator testified. I drove a white truck, black lettering.
Mm-hmm.
Bam! When they fucking at my post conviction, it came out. He said white truck or a maroon truck, red lettering, and asked me when did you buy?
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought we got disconnected. He testified in both trials. I drove a white truck, black lettering. At the post-conviction hearing, where my judge overturned it right after the, months after the hearing, he admitted to my attorney that he knew the day one of the investigation I drove a maroon truck with red lettering. Well, that's a big difference, black and white, maroon and red.
Yeah, that is a really big difference.
He admitted he lied. He admitted he lied on witness in my post-conviction.
Okay. Well, let me get your court file and let me get through that. And I'm sure I'll have more questions once I get through it. And like I said, I need to talk to the witnesses. So I will be in touch in the next day or two. Okay.
Anything you need, I'll come down and say, I'll do anything. An innocent man don't run, and I did. I could have took my shit and went far away, but yes.
Yeah, you walked right into you turned yourself right in, you walked right in and said, here I am.
Yep. Take me down, but you ain't got nothing to worry about. When they said guilty, I said, fucking kiss my ass.
Yeah.
But yes, call whenever, whatever, I'll be more than happy, and I appreciate it. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Joseph. You have a great day.
You too. Stay warm.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Well, that's the
Well-
guy we've been talking about. That's the guy we've been reading about. So that's him.
I think we've got to do a follow-up on this for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I have a lot of questions about the area and stuff
Yeah.
back then.
I mean,
and
you read this stuff and you think, my God, he did it. And some technicality got him out of it. But
Well, the crazy thing is too, I just came across a story where 3 victims, 3 murders that were cold from 1989. Granted, it was a different state, but were just they just found the guy last year. So
all right, guys. Well, I think this is good for today. It was a great introduction. And
Yes.
now let's get to work and do some investigating.
All right. Bunny says
I
hi.
love that.
Hi, Heather. Bunny
You
says
ready
hi,
for it?
Heather. I miss you.
meh.
All right. Love you guys. See you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.